Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into another episode of the Nat Bros podcast. And today, Andrew and I are going to be discussing last year's draft with the team or with the league that we did a mock draft for last week. And so you are on a wild adventure with us to talk about that and to kind of like see our process and see what we think about the other members of our team, the other members of our league, and talking about how that's going to change our way of drafting a little bit. And especially for me, like definitely changes my way of drafting. And so, but we'll get into it. We'll talk about who won last year, how many members they had left on their team from the draft, and we'll also talk about the draft itself and kind of go through and talk to you about how to do that and how to draft and all that fun stuff.
So, of course, some guy named Team got the best draft. Which is funny because, I got the second best draft was Scott's Tots, who got first, right?
Yeah. Or at least draft grade wise. Yeah.
Yes, we got 2 A's, Scott's Tots teams, 4 B's, Better Than Scott, Biggest Loser, QB Misery, yours truly, Heartbeat, 4 C's, London Silly Nannies, The Leprechauns, Lights Camera Action, or
Kamara Lights Kamara Action.
That's what I said, Lights Kamara Action, The Water Boys, and then D's were Shroot Farms and Back in the Hot Seat.
Yours truly, Back in the Hot Seat. So, yeah. So to kind of give you guys a rundown of who made it into the playoffs. So in the number 1 spot, Shroot Farms. In the number 2 spot, Scott's Tots. In the number 3 spot, the Leprechauns. Number 4, Lights Kamara Action. Number 5, Team. And number 6, Better Than Scott. Then advancing into the semifinals, or basically the winner, the championship game was between Scott's Tots, and Shroot Farms, which is hilarious because Scott's Tots got the highest. He ended up winning the championship. He's also the commissioner, which is a little fishy. But anyway, Scott's Tots, it's not really that fishy. Scott's Tots ended up getting the championship, and Shroot Farms, which, if you remember what Andrew just said about the draft grade, got the second lowest grade for the draft. But he was the number 1 seed going into the playoffs, and he ended up getting second place in the entire playoff. And the reason why we're talking about that is because it doesn't necessarily matter. It matters how you draft to an extent, but it also matters how you react throughout the season to the different things that are going on. Because if you react quickly to news, or if you react in time to your team and whether your team is doing well or not, if you react quick enough, then you will be able to basically pick up, and you'll be able to pick yourself up and be able to dust yourself off and make yourself have a better team even later into the season. Because the first few games, you may end up losing a lot of games. I shouldn't say the only season I won. Well, babe, probably is the only season that I won. The only season that I ended up winning in this league, I actually ended up starting the league 1 win and 5 losses. And then I adjusted in such a way to where I ended up getting to a 7-6 record and ended up taking the championship home. And so with that, you do need to adjust. But we're going to talk about the draft. We're going to talk about kind of like our mindsets as we were going through the draft, talk to you about what we thought were great picks, or what we thought were amazing picks, or what we thought were dumb picks, either by ourselves or by our league mates. And then we'll talk to you about how many of those players that were drafted, how many of those ended up on the actual last bit of the roster of those teams that ended up getting higher up.
I just want to point out, and I'm just going to jump right into it.
Go ahead.
Out of the last, 6 seasons I've been a part of this league, I have never been a top 3.
Never once?
Not one time.
You got third.
I
Oh no, I
I
got
got
third place.
I got 2 11ths, a fourth, a fifth, a sixth, and an eighth. And out of the last 6 years, it says I've had the top draft position for 3 of the years, and I tied for one.
The top draft grade, you mean, right?
Yeah, rating,
Yeah,
top draft rating. Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. That is exactly what I mean.
And so even that, like even if you've got a really good draft level, it doesn't necessarily mean that you are. Um, it doesn't necessarily mean you're doing great. Maybe doing okay, but even if you got that, like, because again, last year the top was Scott's Tots, who ended up being the champion. The second to last was Shrew Farms, which was second place in our league. And so it doesn't necessarily matter what draft grade you get. What really matters is what you do with your draft throughout the season. Now, that doesn't mean go and draft stupid stuff, okay? You're not drafting a defense in the first, second, or third rounds, okay? You're not doing something dumb like that, okay? So we're going to go through, we're going to talk about kind of like what the draft was. I had the fifth pick. My team had the fifth pick in the draft last year, and Andrews had the seventh pick. And currently, because of how poorly we've done, I currently have the first pick, and Andrew currently has the second pick. And so that's kind
All
of
right.
the idea of like, and the thing is like what I will probably end up doing over the course of the next week is actually probably trying to get together an idea of the people who are in our team, who are in our
Excuse me.
league, and then
Yeah.
figuring out how they normally draft and try and pay attention to that in order to adjust it. I'm a big proponent of the fantasy footballers, and they say don't draft a quarterback until maybe like the later rounds, like maybe
You know
seventh, eighth,
that
ninth, 10th.
maybe that's my problem. I need to
Was
start picking up other people. I always pick up running their quarterback second, third round.
that's the thing is like and I even told you last time is that like if you pick up a quarterback that early, the problem is you're leaving a lot of because it's only one position. Again, if it were a super flex and we had two quarterbacks that we needed, then absolutely. But since we've only got one quarterback, those running backs and wide receivers are pretty important earlier on than the quarterback. So, without any further ado, um, I ended up taking so McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook, Derrick Henry, and Alvin Kamara were the first four off of the board. I ended up taking Ezekiel Elliott. Kind of my idea is pretty much in that middle area. I wanted a running back. I didn't want to get a wide receiver at that point. But of course, I chose Ezekiel Elliott, and he ended up not being worth the fifth pick throughout the year, and so that was kind of like the biggest issue there. Want to talk about yours?
No, not really. It hurts.
No, Aaron Jones is good.
He wasn't that year. He hurt me deeply.
Last year,
Yeah. What did he do? What did he do? Hold on. Let
I
me.
mean, he's like, well, I mean, he's I mean, probably
He wa-
probably along the
he
same lines as Zeke is like,
he wasn't where he was supposed to be. How about that?
right, right.
I picked Aaron Jones, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 799 yards and 4 touchdowns. Oh boy, he had 9 touchdowns the year before that, and 16 the year before that, and 1,000 yards, 1,100 yards. Like no, ugly. Uh, I guess he broke even with receiving touchdowns plus rushing, but I mean, like I said, he had altogether 10 last year, altogether 11 the year before, and then the year before that he had 19.
Mm-hmm.
It has been a steady decline for the
And
last three
also, it,
years.
it was an increase of AJ Dillon's workload too.
Right. AJ
Yeah.
AJ Dillon just being a jerk on top of that. Yeah.
Being rude, getting in my way and stuff.
Right.
So what ended up happening is one of the teams actually in the second round ended up getting a quarterback. And again, we're not necessarily well, I'm not a proponent of getting a quarterback that early because I don't think that they're going to return the value that you need that you're missing out on. for that star running back or that star wide receiver that you could get in the second round. And so, or even the star tight end that you can get in the second round.
Honestly, the reason why I pick them up so soon is because they are a big proponent in getting you points every single year.
I mean, that's true, and they do.
But clearly it's not working out in my favor. So your second pick, you picked Calvin Ridley. That didn't do you so well, did it?
The next two picks, my second pick and my third pick, both of them were absolutely worthless.
My second and third pick were on point. Well, maybe not my third pick. He kind of was a little bit of a bust.
Kind of like shot you in the foot a little bit.
Well, I mean, he put out about half of what he did previous 4 years. DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah.
I mean,
it seemed like Kyler was not doing well then. But like so to kind of like show the people. So I picked up Calvin Ridley. After Calvin Ridley, Justin Jefferson went. Joe Mixon went. James Robinson went. AJ Brown went. And so like I could have picked up any of those guys and probably done better overall. Because now, granted, here's the problem. And I don't want to say this because picking up Calvin Ridley wasn't a bad choice at that time. But like when there were rumors in the weeds of Calvin Ridley possibly, first off, he wasn't doing well. And then even when the rumors started that he wasn't going to continue working, like I still tried to keep him on my team. And what I should have done is almost immediately traded him away and or tried to find a supplementary pickup. Somebody else out there that would have been better for me. My third pick was Allen Robinson. And just in case, like, I got burned bad on Allen Robinson. Now, that being said, if Allen Robinson falls to me in this draft, I will probably try to pick him up. Just because I think that I guarantee you. Here's my assumption, and I don't want to like speak bad of players, but I think that this is kind of what.
But I want to.
No. I'm not necessarily speaking bad because I don't necessarily. If you're playing on a team and you're not a super young guy, you're playing on a team, and that team doesn't seem to be projected towards winning anything, or it seems like they're trying to rebuild. You don't necessarily want to be on that team. You don't necessarily want to give your all, and so you kind of want to probably get out of there. And maybe the best way to do that is to kind of like not put in a showing. I'm not saying that he was doing that, but he may have been. Now he's got a great opportunity in Los Angeles with the Rams. I'd be willing to pick him up. I know he burned me bad last year, and this year I'm going to watch it and pay attention. If he's not getting a lot of looks and a lot of attention, if Cooper Kupp is still getting everything and Allen Robinson isn't actually getting much and somebody else is getting more attention, then I'll pretty quickly drop him.
I was looking at my fourth pick, Keenan Allen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he actually had a pretty, I wouldn't say as far as touchdowns, as far as yards, he had a pretty good year. And then if you go down the splits, it'll go through like total receiving as a starter, what he did, home, away, day, grass, turf, outdoors, indoors, windy, mild, warm, hot, Sunday, Monday, not Sunday or Monday, September, October, it breaks it down like extremely well. So apparently December is the year for him, or the month for him for touchdowns, and November is the month for him for yards, So that's what tickles me. That's like, man, they broke that way down, way down.
He did have 106 targets or receptions, and so that's kind of where he kind of like makes his bread and butter.
Yeah, but he had 157 targets. I mean that's 10 yards almost per carry. 10.7 actually tells you right there. Wow. Oh man. So Keenan Allen didn't do horrible for me. Honestly, that was kind of like more of like, and just to tell you where I was on that when that was drafting. So just to give you reference, Lamar Jackson went before, Mike Evans went after. So people that were still left was Josh Jacobs, Cooper Kupp, round 4. Wow, that's crazy.
That was like, so the guy who ended up getting the first seed but ended up getting second place in the league, he got both Justin Jefferson and Cooper Kupp. And if you guys know what they did last year, they were the 1 and the 2, and they are being drafted as the 1 and the 2 wide receivers. And so he got both of them on his team along with Derrick Henry. I mean, he had garbage for running backs because Derrick Henry was great for 8 games and then was gone. And so, other than that, like all he had really holding him up was Justin Jefferson and Cooper Kupp. I mean, like he's got a garbage team. Well, Michael Pittman might have been good, but like, and Melvin Gordon was okay. Other than that, it's a garbage team drafted wise because Derrick Henry ended up losing out about halfway through the season. James Robinson, he did decently. Robbie Anderson, garbage.
So let
And
me ask you this. All
go
right.
ahead.
So looking at your team, first 4 picks. Okay. Are you looking at drafting any of those same 4 guys where you're at now? Like let's see our fantasy, our mock draft. So
Possibly Zeke in the second.
yeah, I have absolutely none of the same guys in my shit.
Yeah. So like I may end up getting Zeke or I may end up getting Aaron Jones in the second if they fall to me. So yeah. But other than
You
that,
you
no.
would get Aaron Jones.
Yeah. In the second, yeah.
I don't think he's worth it, son. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like
But you got that was in the first. You got him in the first. To
that's
get him in the second, like at the end of the second, that'd be a good
listen,
spot.
listen. If I were you, I would go AJ Brown. If I
The
were
thing
you,
is like number one, we haven't seen AJ Brown do anything with Jalen Hurts. We don't know. Like
that's true.
he had a
That
really good
is.
relationship with Tannehill, and like there was a good connection there. We don't know what it's going to be like for Jalen Hurts. Is Jalen Hurts going to if the pocket collapses? If the pocket collapsed around Ryan Tannehill, chances are he was going to throw it up to AJ Brown or dump it off. Jalen Hurts probably going to do more running if the pocket collapses. He's not necessarily if the pocket collapses, he's going to run out of the pocket and then take off. Ryan Tannehill can't really. He could run a little bit, but not like Jalen Hurts. And so like he could take off outside of the pocket, locate AJ Brown down the field, chuck it up, and that's a gain. And so the relationship between AJ Brown and Ryan Tannehill was great. We don't know how Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown will do together. We're not sure. And so that's why, like for me, I'm not drafting. I might draft Robert Woods later in the draft, but that's probably one of the only Titans that I'm going to have this year, just because of where I'm at. Not because I don't like the Titans, but just because of where I'm at in the draft on the turn, I'm like, not necessarily feeling like I'm going to end up with many Titans, if any. One of the things about our league is that right there when I got Josh Jacobs, there were already 6 quarterbacks off, and one team had already gotten 2 quarterbacks. Not a suggestion that I would say. I would not say getting 2 quarterbacks that early on. I wouldn't even get 1 quarterback that early on, but definitely not 2. The champion, we'll give you the champions draft. We'll give you the second places draft, and then we'll show you.
How horrible we did.
Well, we'll show you how horrible we did, and then we'll give you the end of year rosters, just to show you how much turnover happened. So the champion was Scott's Tots. With his first pick at the 12, he took Travis Kelce, and then he took Austin Eckler. Great pick. Austin Eckler ended up like third, fourth on the season.
Fourth, I think. Yeah.
Fourth. Then he went Darrell Henderson and DeAndre Swift, Then he went Adam Thielen. This is like the second, third year in a row, maybe fourth year in a row that he's taking Adam Thielen. And so I don't think he's going to take him this year, but if he does, I'll be happy.
No, I think you will, honestly. Like
You think
looking
so?
at looking at our draft results, I got him in the sixth. So if he's anywhere before me in the sixth, or fifth, he'll take him. I guarantee it.
But then he picked up in the sixth round. He picked up Dak Prescott. Seventh, he got Odell Beckham Jr. In the eighth round, he got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. In the ninth, he got Marvin Jones. In the 10th, Darnell Mooney. In the 11th, Jacoby Myers, Mark Ingram, Ben Roethlisberger, Sterling Shepard, and then Brandon McManus, the kicker out of Denver. Okay. To give you a comparison, his end of year roster of all of those, the only ones that are still on his team, Dak Prescott, Austin Eckler, Travis Kelce, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and Adam Thielen. And Adam Thielen was on IR. And so you got 5 guys out of 15, five positions out of 15 that had no turnover. That means the other 10 were either traded or were dropped and picked up on waivers. Number 2 team, Schrute Farms. Their number 1 pick at the 3, Derrick Henry. And then at the 2-10, Justin Jefferson. At the 3-3, James Robinson. At the 4-10, Cooper Kupp. So mad about that. At the 5-3, Tom Brady. At the 6-10, Robbie Anderson. At the 7-3, Melvin Gordon. At the 8-10, the Washington Commanders. At the 9-3, Tyler Bass, kicker out of Buffalo. At the 10-10, Jared Cook. At the 11-3, Kirk Cousins. The 12-10, Philip Lindsay. The 13-3, Michael Pittman, decent pickup. The 14-10, Jamison Crowder. And at the 15-3, Anthony Ferguson.
Holy crap.
What is it?
He literally made 79 transactions last year.
Schrute Farms?
No, Scott's Tots.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
See how many Schrute Farms did? I'm curious about that.
42.
42.
Yeah. Let's see how many I did. I think I got like
before you get into that. So at the end of the season, Schrute Farms had still on his team Tom Brady, obviously, Justin Jefferson, obviously, Cooper Kupp, obviously. He kept Tyler Bass, Kirk Cousins, and Derrick Henry. So technically 6. So Kirk Cousins and Derrick Henry, but both of them were on IR. And so you have 6 out of the 15. So that means 9 of them turned over. 9 of them were gotten rid of. Okay. And the earliest one to be gotten rid of was a 3rd round pick. Okay. James Robinson, gone. Possibly traded. Probably traded. The same with Scott's Tots. 3rd round, 3rd and 4th round. Either traded or dropped. Okay. So my team started out with Ezekiel Elliott, Calvin Ridley, Allen Robinson, Josh Jacobs at the 4-8, Raheem Mostert at the 5-5, Chase Claypool at the 6-8, Tyler Higbee at the 7-5, Matt Ryan at the 8-8, Deebo Samuel at the 9-5, which was a wonderful pickup for me because that definitely saved my season a lot. Giovanni Bernard at the 10-8. In all honesty, I believe I could have won if I'd have been on top of everything else. On top of Calvin Ridley, on top of Allen Robinson, and willing to get rid of them. Trey Lance was at the 11. Giovanni Bernard was at the 10-8. Trey Lance at the 11-5. Tevin Coleman at the 12-8. J.D. McKissick at the 13-5. And then the New England Patriots for the defense. And Robbie Gould for my kicker at the end. At the end of the season, this is what I ended up with. Trey Lance was still on my team. Deebo Samuel. Ezekiel Elliott, Tyler Higbee. Wow. I only had 4. I literally only had 4 that were still on my team after the year. Just 4 of them. And so even with that, and that was more of like a fire sale. Like I just needed to get rid of people, period. Just trying to see. I did try throughout the season, tried to sell Ezekiel Elliott, tried to get rid of him and get some really good ones. I will tell you that Javonte Williams really helped me out a lot. I ended up picking him up off the waivers, but the thing is like I should have gotten rid. Pretty sure Calvin Ridley stayed on my team for a while. And the same with Allen Robinson. I held on to them really hardcore for a while instead of just dropping them. At least within the third, fourth, fifth week. If they're not producing after 4 or 5 weeks, should have gotten rid of them somehow, some way. Probably traded them, tried to get some kind of value back for them.
All right, read mine off.
All right. So for Andrew's team, he started out with Aaron Jones at the 1-7, Josh Allen at the 2-6, DeAndre Hopkins at the 3-7, Keenan Allen 4-6, Tyler Lockett 5-7, Myles Gaskin at the 6-6, Chase Edmonds at the 7-7. Actually, I think Chase Edmonds actually ended up turning out really well for that pick. Logan Thomas, the 8-6, Mike Williams, the 9-7. Nicely done. McCall Hardman at the 10-6, Michael Gallup at the 11-7, Baker Mayfield at the 12-6, Jay Sanders, the kicker out of Miami. I don't know who that is. Kansas City Chiefs for defense, and Boston Scott at the 15-7. At the end of the year, still had Josh Allen, still had Keenan Allen, still had Mike Williams, still had Aaron Jones, still had Chase Edmonds, still had Tyler Lockett,
Michael Gallup,
still had Michael Gallup,
Hopkins,
still had DeAndre Hopkins,
Miles Gaskin,
still had Myles Gaskin, still had McCole Hardman. So out of 10, out of 15, my brother had 10.
just
You need more transactions, my man.
For the record, I got 11th, so I wasn't last place.
How many transactions? Where can you find the transactions?
6.
You did 6 transactions the entire year?
Yeah.
You did 6 transactions the entire year.
Let's see. Let's see how many you had. You had 68. 66. So transactions also, just so you know, not only, I mean, I guess if we did it right, we would do what you subtracted and then added later on, but we're doing transactions as he would drop one and then add one maybe later, or he'd drop and add one at the same time. So it was literally like any type of drop or add, or drop and add, or trade, whatever it may be. That is what he did. Honestly, I thought, I don't know, those last 4 just sucked all around. I remember my last side. Boston Scott, Kansas City, Baker Mayfield. I don't remember Jason Sanders.
But the thing is like I'll say this. So Josh Allen being drafted in the second is what really killed you. Like, because you could have gotten Justin Jefferson, Najee Harris, Joe Mixon, James Robinson, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I'm trying to think of other ones that you could have gotten besides Josh Allen.
I'm trying to see who you think I could have gotten. Hold up.
Justin Jefferson.
Let me go back to Rams.
If you look at the picture, I'm just looking at everything that came after your Josh Allen pick.
Okay, yeah, I see it. I was looking at the teams, not at the rounds.
I mean, I can't tell you, like, for how terrible my team was, to still get 7th place was mind-boggling. Because the first 3 picks, 2 of them amounted to literally diddly squat, and 1 of them amounted to a 2nd round pick. My first round amounted to a 2nd round pick. And had I not picked up Deebo Samuel when I did, I'm pretty sure there's no way I would have gotten 7th place in the league. He's literally the only one that returned any value. He made up for the loss of value for my 2 wide receivers by like a long shot. Even Darnell Mooney, who I picked up later on, did more. really got a total of 55.6. His actual rank was 306. Allen Robinson got a total of 68 points. His actual rank was 272. Ezekiel Elliott. So Ezekiel Elliott did 228.56, which is not bad, but his actual ranking was 30th.
How many rookies do you think you're gonna take this year?
None to maybe one.
None to one, huh?
None to one, yeah.
I'm gonna take two. I'm always struggling those last two rounds, anyways, to put people on my bench.
Yeah.
You know, I gotta say I haven't played well since I did when I picked up that one rookie, 2000. God, what year was
Odell?
that? No, I picked up Matt
Oh,
Forte.
James,
That's all.
and James Robinson. You picked up James Robinson really early on, and when he was an undrafted free agent, and he rocked everything. Or did you acquire him?
I don't know. Let's be honest here. I really don't know. I just remember Forte.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you being and paying attention to Andrew and I discussing our drafts and discussing last year's draft and kind of like some of the ideas behind what we are planning on doing. Let us know what you think in the comments below. If you are listening on your favorite podcasting app, please subscribe and leave us a review letting us know how often you play fantasy football or if you even play it at all. If you are on YouTube, click the subscribe button, click the like button, click the bell. That way you can be notified when we post more videos, whether it's about fantasy football or other things. And leave us a comment below and let us know your tips and your advice for drafting in fantasy football. I'm Nick.
I'm Andrew. Go ahead. Go ahead.
And as always,
I don't know that they have an open invitation to these conversations, but
they do.
I mean,
They have an open invitation.
weigh in, I guess. But you know what?
Weigh in.
I really don't care what you think. No, I'm just joking.
Unless you're a professional.
Just tell it. Who's a professional?
Wow, that's true. Bye-bye.